Hello everybody, welcome back to Theje's catalog. Today I'm reviewing the remake of a Nintendo classic, Bionic Commando Rearmed. Commissioned by Capcom themselves, the now defunct Grin made the platformer on their own Diesel 3D engine, which was used most recently to render the Payday game series. In Bionic Commando, you play as a commando with a bionic arm. Your missions involve running around, clawing at various objects and platforms, and not jumping. The story and plot updates are given through dialogue in between, in the middle of, and at the end of missions. The chatter your character shares with robots that speak in binary are pretty much as humorous as the game gets. Other than that, it's rather simple, mildly funny, and to the point. To go from stage to stage, you traverse along a sort of world map. Along the way, you have the chance of running into an enemy platoon, which then breaks off into its own little mini-stage. There are only a couple variations of this, and after you've played through them twice, they get old. And if you play this game like me, you'll go through these areas more than just twice, and it just keeps getting older. The gameplay in Bionic Commando is exactly what you'd expect out of a refined retro title. The original challenge is all there, but the sharp edges of moving around and falling off ledges have been smoothed over. It's the same amount of care and precision that was put into the DuckTales remake. Speaking of precision, I know for a fact that at least the first few levels are carbon copies of the original game, just that the graphics look a little bit better. Except when there are bugs. Other than that, the graphics are passable. Each one of the main missions has a different color palette to it, even the enclosed areas, so you'll never go through two levels with identical tile sets. Given the low system requirements, I'll say that any modern PC with a Core i3 or AMD APU and no dedicated GPU can properly play the game without breaking a sweat. And I never caught myself thinking, I wish this level had more detail. What I did end up thinking about was, I know I'm too old to dislike this gameplay mechanic of not being able to jump, but man, I really dislike this gameplay mechanic of not being able to jump. In other words, I died a lot from falling. But while forcing myself to progress through the game for the review, I did end up enjoying it. There are also boss fights to change up the platforming action. It mostly involves dodging a little bit of projectiles and finding out how to expose the weak spot, which doesn't take very much time or thought at all. The bottom line is, if you didn't play all the way through the original NES game, you'll be pining for something more challenging and involved after about 10 minutes. I know this because I didn't play through the whole NES game, and this platformer got old quick. But I have routinely played through DuckTales over the years, and the remake of DuckTales was a friggin' blast. So I'm sure it'll be the same for fans of the original NES Bionic Commando game. Which brings me to the conclusion. If you played through, loved, and still remember the original Bionic Commando NES game, you have to play Rearmed. Buy it, play it, love it. For those who were around the NES and arcade games but still didn't get to play them, it's still a fantastic buy. If you were raised in the SNES generation and younger, then you don't have to bother. Now all we need is for someone to do a remake of Low G-Man. Hint hint. This has been a review of Bionic Commando Rearmed here on Theje's catalog. Thanks for watching, and you guys, have a good night.
Well, my wife was as useless as my left arm.